Well, I'm Theresa Moore. I'm the Faculty Development Specialist here at KSELT, Kirkwood Center for Excellence in Learning and Teaching. I was able to experiment in KSELT's MALIE room this semester. The room is really a prototype to be used for professional development, but it only makes sense that I, as a faculty developer, use it in my own teaching. So I was able to experiment in the room teaching College 101, which is basically introduction to college and life success. And I think it was a great prototype because I was able to apply pedagogies that we would talk about in a real setting with students. So it was a great opportunity. MALIE stands for KSELT's Mobile Active Learning Immersive Environment, and it is an experimental, innovative space. The center of the acronym MALIE is AL, and so active learning certainly is at the center of what we should be doing in the room. It's what I've been trying to do in the room with my students, and I really like it. It's a good collaborative learning space, and I think I've been using it fairly well this semester with my students. Well, some of the early challenges were really technical challenges, and they had to do with my lack of fluency in using the room. So for example, using the iPads and projecting them to different Apple TVs within the room, I would sometimes or quite often make mistakes, and so that would set me off a little bit in the momentum of the class. But we got over that, and that was a learning curve. Some of the other challenges are the limitations in using the iPads with students. They're great. The iPads are great for navigating the internet, for finding information, but they're not great tools for creating or curating student work. So that's a limitation that I found early on in using the iPads. I think some of the creative stuff that we do in the room has very little to do with the technology. We're able to collaborate, and I'm able to do energizers with them, have them interact with each other much more often and much more intimately. Again, it has nothing to do with the technology. So I do that fairly regularly.
What I like about the classroom would be it's just really inviting. There's lots of bright colors and it's not hurtful on the eyes, and also she really likes us engaging with the other students and like getting to know them too, so we're comfortable with everyone. So when I walk in here during the morning, I feel completely comfortable to talk about whatever and get my work done, so it's nice.
I like how we're branched off from other bigger classes and there's not that many of us in here. So we can each have like our time to talk to her if we wanted to. We don't have to sit here and raise our hand with like 20 other people in the class still.
I find it really helpful that we have iPads and laptops in here at all times. So if I forget to bring my laptop from home or if I didn't know that we were going to be using it, then I always have an iPad or a laptop that I could choose. And we have Macs and PCs, so it really helps having those options.
The iPads are fun because I used them my junior and senior year in high school, so I already know what I'm doing. And then it's nice, like, instead of having to like sit here, trade papers or trade computers, we can just put them up on the screen.
In terms of the technology, we spent a lot of time playing with a particular app called Plotagon because I wanted students to create some original work. And that's one thing I think that's pretty notable about the work that I did with them this semester. So Plotagon is basically a text to animation creating app, so students can create all sorts of videos and cartoons and different caricatures of themselves and others in conversation. And the reason why I wanted to use it was to meet a particular outcome. One of the outcomes of College 101 is that students better understand themselves by taking the Myers-Briggs Trait Inventory assessment. And so they took the assessment, and instead of just writing a report on what did you learn by taking the inventory, I wanted to go a bit deeper and have them do some original creative work and really try to make a makerspace out of that room, which it's great for doing. So we spent a lot of time where they created a script and they added characters, they gave personality to themselves and the other characters, and then they acted out what they learned about themselves instead of, again, just writing a regular report. The MALIE spaces are really great, innovative spaces, but they should only be built if instructors are willing to relinquish control of the room, because you are literally working among your students. If you're just going to do lecture and the room configuration is going to be different, that is not a good reason enough to have rooms like this. So I think they're great if you have a plan for how you're going to use the setup of the room and the technology, but not putting the technology first and just saying, oh great, we have all this technology, now what are we going to do? Instead, being very mindful about creating these spaces with intended outcomes that can be facilitated by the spaces is important.